Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Merseyside Sport Blog podcast with me, Sam Hackett. Today, I'll be joined by Lewis Francis, Jesse Hornby, and Sienna Hughes to talk all things sport in the Northwest. And well, the theme of the weekend in this part of the country really was postponements, with Storm Dara hitting the West Coast hardest. We obviously most notably lost the Merseyside derby. Sienna, I'll start with you as I know you're a big Toffee. How did you feel when the derby was postponed?
Yeah, disappointed really because obviously we just got over the hurdle of the 4-0 loss to Man United and completely bounced back with the 4-0 win over Wolves. So I felt quite positive knowing we were taking a good dominant performance into the derby. And also another layer to that is the fans were really excited for it. They felt positive, they felt encouraged. And the derby, I know we've spoken about it before, it's basically fueled by passion from the fans and all form goes out the window and everything. So I think it's a shame because we would have really been up for it, but you can't help the weather. It's an external thing. So,
Yeah, do you think, based on obviously you live in Liverpool at the moment, do you think it was the right decision?
well, I think it's hard to say because it's completely different to football. So I guess whoever's had the meeting has deemed it was unsafe. So I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I woke up in the morning, my wheelie bin wasn't there. So I think that's probably an indication that it wouldn't have been safest. But from an Everton point of view, I know at least next time the game will be played, you should have players like Keane and Garner back. Will that be a big sort of advantage for you when the fixture gets rearranged, or do you think you would have rather just had it done at the weekend?
I don't know. We had a strong team out against Wolves, so I feel like if we had the same team out, we would have been fine. And also, I don't know when the next possible time it's going to be rearranged, but our Christmas fixtures are insane. We've got Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, and Nottingham Forest, who are literally second, third, fourth, and fifth in the league. So if it's any time after that, then I'm not holding out much hope.
Yeah, I'll get to the likely slots for that game a little bit later. But for now, Lewis, with as I've said, the wheelie bins are everywhere with the very Sean Dyche-like conditions and a few absentees for Liverpool. As a Liverpool fan yourself, you mustn't have been too disappointed that the game didn't go ahead in the end.
I was quite happy that it didn't go ahead because after watching Kelleher try and deal with a cross in normal conditions against Newcastle, God knows how they would have lasted, how we would have lasted against Everton in conditions like that. And when you look at like Liverpool's injury list and suspensions, there's quite a few suspend. Well, they've got McAllister suspended, which I think is quite a big loss personally in the midfield. And then you've got Allison out, Jota out, Canate out, and they're three starting 11 players. So I think if this is rearranged for when they're fit, I think it's Liverpool are in a lot better position when it's rearranged.
100%. Mustn't forget Jota as well. He should even be back by the time it comes around. And obviously,
Yeah.
with how Nunes was against Newcastle, I don't think
Mm,
fans will be
no.
very happy to see Jota come back. And obviously, the Newcastle game, do you think that would have taken a lot out of the team? A game
Uh,
like that? Obviously, Klopp used to always moan about that. If you go Wednesday night and then Saturday 12:30, it's a quick turnaround. So for me personally, I think you've got to be happy with that postponement.
yeah, you'd be happy because, like you say, going up to Newcastle, playing such an intense match on a Wednesday, and then going to Everton, which is also going to be intense at 12:30 on a Saturday. It's not the ideal two games in a row because they're both games basically fueled by hatred. So it's in Liverpool's best interest for it to be postponed, really.
Yeah, 100%. And as Sienna said earlier, the obviously the game's got to fit in somewhere. And fixture guru Ben Crellin, I don't know if any of you follow him on Twitter, but he knows he's always any postponements, he's first to them. And he took to Twitter pretty quickly to explain the potential slots that could fit the rearranged game. Obviously, it could come as soon as Wednesday, the 1st of January, with both teams having a free midweek. But obviously, that is literally 2 or 3 weeks away now. So fans they usually have a 4 week sort of threshold that they need to give fans notice, so it is probably unlikely to go in there. And the other options are game week 24 or game week 25 in February, or game week 33 in April. um, Maybe more likely given the late notice. Jesse, we obviously know that Everton won the rearranged game under the lights last season. As a neutral, do you think this postponement could suit the Toffees more?
It could. The issue is, as Sienna said, you never know with Everton. And coming off that 4-0 win, they could be. when it's rearranged, you mentioned the dates, they could be coming off 4 games and have a goal difference in those games of -16. And I think the general feeling amongst Everton fans is they were ready either to, celebrate a win, play the game, or just get it out of the way. But I think in terms of the team, I think Sean Dyche will have quite a professional mentality about it, and they'll move on to the next game. And I think no matter when the game was going to be played, it would have been a pretty similar game. Everton would try and make it as much their game as they can. So I think I don't actually know how much the rearrangement changes things from an Everton point of view, but I do think from a Liverpool point of view, I think it's very helpful for them, especially after you mentioned they're playing on Wednesday.
Yeah, another thing to just add is if Liverpool are in the Carabao Cup final and the FA Cup 5th round, then the Premier League will have to use the 3 starting game week 25 rather than wait and bank on Liverpool losing later on in the FA Cup to obviously free dates later on in the season. So it does look like it will slip in around game week 25 in February. But obviously, if Liverpool get knocked out of either the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup, which looks unlikely with the game against Accrington, obviously in the 3rd round, then that will be in 25. And I think Liverpool will be looking to avoid the game being played sort of in April after last season when Everton sort of really did damage their title hopes. So game 25, obviously look out for that. Obviously, Jesse, the undisputed good news for Liverpool was Man City's continued poor form at the weekend. Do you see them out the title race now, or would it be stupid to write off a team with such pedigree?
It's so difficult because I think this year is the first year that everyone kind of notices a difference with them. And obviously Liverpool fans know all about being in the title race with City. So I think they're very hesitant to write them off. But as a neutral, I can't see them getting back into it. And right now, I mean, I'm an Arsenal fan, but I have to say Liverpool are the clear favourites because I don't see City getting back into it, as stupid as it sounds to write off a team who's won so many Premier Leagues. But I think they're old and slow and small. It's harsh, but I don't think they're the team they were. So I think Liverpool fans, I think they can think positively about their chances, especially against City.
Chelsea now, good result yesterday against Spurs.
That's the thing that's tough. I think Liverpool will know they're a better team than Chelsea, and I think even with a game at Stamford Bridge, they will fancy their chances. So again, if Liverpool are thinking about their competitors, I think, and this isn't bias talking, I think they're mainly thinking about Arsenal. And even though Chelsea keep winning and they do seem a bit of a tough team to come up against at the minute, I think they will eventually balance out and end up kind of finishing 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Right, I'm going to go around now and ask people for their title predictions, just so you can be held accountable for any shockers come the end of the season. Sienna, I'm going to start with you. It may be difficult to admit as a Blue, but surely you're seeing Liverpool as clear favourites now, or do you have different ideas?
Yeah, I don't know, because football can be so unpredictable. Like, I mean, nobody saw Man City having this much of a drop-off. But I mean, I would have to say I'm leaning towards Liverpool, but there is half a season left for, like you said, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City, if they get back into it, and Liverpool have a peak, but I'm saying Liverpool.
Yeah. Like you said, it is obviously still December. Titles aren't handed out in December. But Lewis, are you starting to dream already?
Well, I'm pessimistic, so I'm not dreaming. But it's obviously a strong position to be in. But like Sienna said, it's only literally December, so we've got a long time to go yet. And Arsenal can still go on a run of. I think Arsenal can go on the run of 10 games on the bounce, winning, and we could draw a few, and then all of a sudden Arsenal are in the driving seat. So, and even Chelsea, like you said, they're not dropping off. You see them go 2-0 down yesterday, and you go, "Oh, there's the drop off," but then they come back. So you go, well, I think they could be in it for the long haul as well.
Yeah, definitely. It is early. Jesse, I know obviously you're an Arsenal fan. Are you going to go with your team, or do you think Liverpool are just going to be too strong?
I think Liverpool are strong. I'm not, as Lewis said, I feel like Arsenal are very capable of runs, and what we did last year in January and February, winning all those games by a landslide as well. And I do think Liverpool will slip up come January time, and they could possibly lose league at Goodison Park again. I'm going to say Arsenal. It's the first time in ever I've actually thought we're going to win the league and we're title favourites. And right now, despite what the bookie's saying, what the league says, I'm sticking with Arsenal.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm personally think it's difficult to look past Liverpool right now, but
Yeah,
if it's going to be anybody but Liverpool, it will be Arsenal. I think. I think Chelsea just don't have the goalkeeper or the defence to sort of win the Premier League. Man City just look very frail. So for me, it's between Liverpool and Arsenal, but I'm obviously just going to edge it Liverpool. You couldn't argue with that, could you, Jesse?
no, fair enough. Fair enough.
I know the Premier League is always the main talking point, but there's been local sport we've all been paying close attention to recently. Lewis, is there any local teams that have really impressed you whilst you've been out and about reporting?
I wouldn't say impress. It's more disappoint because I've been Southport a few times, and I've been when they've won, but they haven't won in the last 5. So maybe I'm just a lucky charm going there. I don't know, but they haven't won the last 5. Like I said, they've only found the back of the net twice, so it's a bad run of form they're in at the minute. The 14th, which isn't too bad, but they're only 8 points off relegation, and if that form continues, they'll just end up back near that relegation fight. So they need to pick the form up, basically.
Yeah, definitely. I know obviously they finished 17th last season, so 17th to 14th on paper may not seem like sort of the worst transition, but obviously when recent form is as bad as 5 games without a win,
There's a long way to go.
Questions.
There's a long way to go.
Do you think Jim Bentley will be disappointed with his side starts to the season then overall, or do you think it's just about getting over this tough run?
I think it's just this tough run. I don't think the whole season as a whole, like you say, the 14th. So they've had the good patch somewhere, but now the last 5, you need to stop that. You need to stop that run of form. So if they stop that, then they'll probably maintain a mid-table-ish finish. But I can't see any positive light at the end of the tunnel. Let's say that.
Yeah, that I know 100% get what you mean. Feels like local football clubs in Merseyside, other than Southport, are thriving at the moment. Me and Sienna have been working closely with Runcorn Town for a background piece on the importance of the 3 p.m. blackout that will be going out on our website soon. Can you tell us more about this, Sienna?
Yeah, so first of all, I just want to say I definitely think this is one to watch out for because it's about the Saturday blackout, as Sam said, and that prevents the broadcasting of any games from 2:45 to 5:25. And its purpose is there to protect attendances at lower league games. So, Sam, I'll let you talk about this later, obviously, but you've been speaking to Runcorn Town, getting a perspective from lower league. And I've been speaking to Liverpool and Everton fans who live away from Liverpool now and have to travel far distances to see if they have a different perspective. And I've spoke to 2 people, and the first person I spoke to, I can't remember his name, but he was around his 50s, 60s, I'd say. And that was quite interesting because he said that his era of football that he grew up in, the games weren't televised as much. So right now, he's not too bothered about the blackout because even if the game is on TV, sometimes he prefers the traditional methods like radio, like just match of the day in the end. But then he did say that he'd expect a different view from people of our age, saying that we have more of an appetite for all of the games being televised because we've grown up in an era that we've just had football fed to us, basically. I mean, I don't remember a time I can watch a game on a Saturday or a Sunday. So I feel like we have more of an expectancy to see games. So then I spoke to someone around our age and they kind of did confirm that. And they said that they knew it was selfish in themselves, but they would like to see the ban lifted because they would love to watch their team play more often.
Yeah, no, that is probably understandable from their point of view. Well, obviously, I sort of got the other side of it. I spoke to Martin Fallon, who's the director at Runcorn Town, and he made it very clear the damage that he thought that'd bring if they did take away that blackout. He said, obviously, when people come and support Runcorn Town, it's £5 on the gate, but it's also £5 for a burger, £5 for a pint, £5 for a match programme. It's like these clubs rely off the gate entries and getting people in. So as soon as they lose that and people are more likely to stay at home and sort of watch football instead, then they'll sort of lose that element. And he does think it'll be really damaging for clubs. I mean, I don't know what you think, Sienna, but would you like to see it lifted or would you like to see it stay?
I don't know. I'm half and half, to be honest, because well, before I'd even done any research or like interviewed anyone, I would have said that I would like to see it lifted, just because obviously I'm in Liverpool now, but I'm originally from Oxford, which is 3 hours away from Goodison Park. So I don't get to go to as many games as I would like to go to. But after all this research and seeing how it really does affect the lower league clubs, I feel like that's a completely selfish perspective. And I'm not sure whether like that outclasses the need. I feel like if the ban is lifted, then you lose lower league football completely, because that's their funds. That's how they like generate profit for their club.
Yeah, definitely. One thing that running our website has taught me is just how valuable lower league clubs and lower league football is. I mean, going out and about, it's people's communities, and I just don't think, as selfish as it is, I'd love to watch every game. I just sort of don't think we can lose that. Jesse, do you agree with that point? Would you keep it or would you get rid of it?
I'd keep it. I think there are enough people, as Sienna was touching on, that are fans of teams who are from London and play and are an Everton fan or whatever the situation is. But I think there are enough people who enjoy the tradition of watching Soccer Saturday or just watching Match of the Day. So I think right now we can still afford to keep it. I think as time goes on, I think our generation will become a bit more selfish and a bit more demanding. And also the pressures of illegal streaming might become a bit too much. So I think for now we keep it and we prioritise our lower league clubs, because, as you said, doing this has just shown us all the value of them.
Yeah, definitely. Lewis, keep or get rid. What would you say?
Similar to Jesse, I'd just say you keep it. I don't think there's not much to gain from getting rid of it. I'll be honest, and I like the idea of keeping the tradition of just if you want to watch them 3 o'clock games, you stay up all night Saturday, watch Match of the Day. It's a great night into it.
Yeah. Definitely. Football aside now, Jesse, I know you've been covering lots of different sports for the website this month. What are the stories that you found really interesting and would recommend that our listeners go and give a read on our website?
Well, yeah, my favourite to do was 100% the Liverpool Basketball Club. I went to a game at Archbishop Catholic College, and what I loved is, as we've been talking about football and lower league communities, there had a real community which you don't often see apart from football in our country, which is quite football heavy. And so it was so nice to see, you went outside, they had basketball courts and the kids were kind of replicating what they've seen in the game and playing outside, and they set up a little stall inside. And I thought I was expecting to go in and be one of a few people in the crowd, but it was a really good crowd, a reactive crowd, an engaged crowd. And it made the game quite special. And luckily, the game that I went to lived up to expectation, as there was a crazy comeback, but Liverpool held on, so the home team won. And I think the crowd were very much into it, which was lovely to see. Especially in a sport that wasn't football. If you were to read one of my articles, then that's the one I'd recommend.
Yeah, that does sound brilliant, because you often don't get communities like that around sports other than football. Could you just let people know where that was that you went, just to encourage them to go down if they did want to?
That was at Archbishop Catholic College.
That's the one. So if anybody does want to head down, that is where you go and find that. Yeah, I've noticed recently sort of the communities growing around different sports. I did a piece on badminton at LJMU and noticed that they were saying to me how much they've been growing and how they're going to be adding a second female team next season, and that they've got lots of teams that are growing and that they've never seen sort of registration like it before. So, like you said, basketball looks on the up, but so was badminton. So I have done a piece on that on the website if anyone would like to go and give it a read about sort of the growth that female badminton is seeing on the pitch. I mean, LJMU Uni aren't doing too well on the court at the moment, but the most important part is that the sport does seem to be growing off it. So make sure to go and give that a read. Lewis and Sienna, I know you've been both doing loads of work. Sienna, I'll come to you first. What would you say your favourite piece is that you'd recommend people go and give a read on the website?
Yeah, I'd say mine has to be the Women's Rugby Super League Grand Final, and that was St Helens versus York Valkyrie. And to be honest, that was just because from either side, like either perspective you're looking at it, there was so much riding on the line. It was either going to be the missing piece to St Helens treble, or it was going to be back-to-back grand finals for York Valkyrie, which has never been done by the women's team before, like any women's Super League team. I'm not sure if that's the same for the men's, but it was York Valkyrie that won. And it was just quite interesting for me because I've not really like looked at rugby much, rugby league. So I feel like it was the best match for me to introduce myself into the sport, because the lead changed hands so many times and there were so many storylines. I think there was players retiring along with the two main storylines. So I definitely recommend everyone to give that a read, especially if, like me, you're not like classing yourself as a rugby league fanatic, because I still think it's a great piece just to get you into rugby a bit more and see like the beauty of it, really.
No, definitely. I gave that a read myself and it was brilliant. It was a brilliant piece. Lewis, I'll give you a chance to plug one of your pieces now. What would you say if you could ask anybody to read one? What would it be?
I think the best one I've written in terms of like quality, I think was probably this weekend's one about the Merseyside derby being postponed. Because I was originally given the task to write a match report, so seeing it postponed was a bit of a what the hell am I going to write about? But I've written it quite well, and they've got a bit of light-hearted humour from like reaction from fans, and there's a few like memes if you want to put it in there. But and it gives, as you said earlier, it mentions a possible rearranged date for that fixture. So I think it's half decently written. I think is the
if anybody wants to, like you say, find out more about what I've been saying about the possible dates to rearrange the game, then go and check that out. Back to football now, but on a lower level. All attention may have been on that cancelled derby that Lewis was on about, but there were a few other lower league derbies in the week that did go ahead. I know Prescot Cables, they progressed to the third round of the North West Counties Liverpool Senior Cup with a 4-1 victory over Pilkington. Jesse, you previewed this game on the podcast last week. What did you think of the match?
Well, I predicted goals, and there were 5 of them. It was interesting. Pilkington scored early. They were the away team, and I really thought we were in for a cup upset. Neither team had won a game. I think Prescott were 5 games without a win, and Pilkington were 8 games without a win. And what was interesting is Prescot Cables equalised in the 20th minute, and there were no goals for 60 minutes, which is such a rarity in a lot of lower league games. But I think in that game especially, because they've got such good attack and such leaky defences. But I think Prescott probably deserved the win, and I think the home crowd, and also probably being the better quality of side being in the league above, just ended up carrying them as they scored 3 late and put the game to bed.
Yeah, there's no shame in losing to a team that are obviously in a higher division than you and have more quality. But we would have hoped for more of a fight from Pilkington, but it's one of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Go on.
No, I was just going to say that it kind of felt like neither team wanted to win or knew how to win. And I think Pilkington just ended up being a bit ill-disciplined, and they paid the price.
Yeah. Worth adding, Lower Brett versus Marine was another Merseyside derby in the cup this week that did go ahead. the home side coming out 3-0 victors. Lewis, was this expected?
I wouldn't say it was expected because there are 3 steps between both of the teams. So when you put the underdogs winning 3, well, when you say the underdogs winning 3-0, it doesn't really make sense. So obviously it's quite an upset. But what did you think of it?
Obviously, it did shock me. I can't lie. Lower Breck are obviously step 5. They were the team that went on to win. They're 4th on 52 points in the Northwest Counties Premier Division. So it's a good level and a good standard of football. But Marine, they're step 2. They're on 18 points and 22nd in the National League North. So there's a big sort of gap between the teams. But as you've seen there, Marine are losing football matches at the moment. They're playing in a league that's probably too good for them. They're looking like they're going to go down. Whereas Lower Breck are sort of on a push for promotion. So possibly that difference in when you get used to winning as a football team, it can sort of be a bit of a habit. So it looks on paper like a massive upset, but by next season, there's probably only going to be 1 division between the 2 teams. So it's one of them where it does look like an upset, but probably not as big as you'd think. But yeah, it's one of them. Right, I think that's it for us now, isn't it? Thank you for listening to the Merseyside Sport Blog podcast with me, Sam Hackett, and my fantastic panel. Make sure to like, subscribe, check out our website via the link below, and we'll be back again next week. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.